Hello, committee members, council members, city staff, and members of the public. This is Alex Hamilton, Fire Chief, with an item to increase the blanket PO for all-star fire equipment and LS Curtis and Sons. So the recommendation is that the City Council authorise a blanket purchase orders for All-Star Fire Equipment Company and LN Curtis and Sons for a not to exceed or NTE amount of $500,000 for All-Star and $1 million respectively, and that's through June 30th of 24. Just a little bit of background. The blanket purchase order is an agreement established to fill repetitive needs for goods. So the BPOs make it easier for the vendor and the department to fill recurring needs while also using the city's full buying power. BPOs are established as purchase orders with a maximum order amount or not to exceed amount. The fire department has a number of purchases from All-Star and LN Curtis that will exceed the $200,000 current not to exceed amount. And as it mentions there, BPOs with an annual not to exceed greater than $200,000 require council approval. So the department currently has a BPO with All-Star with a not to exceed amount of $180,000. All-Star Fire Equipment is a sole vendor for line turnouts, which is what we use for our structure firefighting, in addition to the hoods, boots, and other miscellaneous equipment and supplies. So we need to increase the value of this BPO to $500,000 for anticipated purchases. And just as a little bit more background, $150,000 is already encumbered in that blanket PO, and we have $100,000 in grant-funded thermal imaging cameras and other routine purchases need to be made in the next between now and June 30th of next year. Oops. Separately, the department also has a BPO with LN Curtis and Sons in a not to exceed amount of $200,000. LN Curtis provides firefighting, rescue, safety, and emergency products and tools. Generally, the fire department spends close to $200,000 on routine purchase of equipment and loose tools. This fiscal year, however, we have an additional $68,000 in grant-funded wildland equipment, as well as $495,000 in upfitting costs for 3 new fire engines. This amount was approved February 1st of 2022, and we anticipate starting to make those purchases in the first quarter of next year in anticipation of delivery of those engines sometime in the summer of next year. And so the department will establish blanket purchase orders as non-encumbered contracts and submit purchase requisitions against the contracts for funded items in the fire department's fiscal year 23-24 operating and grant budgets. And you can see here that this includes $460,000 from our general fund allocation, $180,000 for grant matches, from the grant match fund, and finally $495,000 from lease purchase equipment fund 313. So essentially we're not asking for any additional funding. We'll only be making these purchases off already allocated funds. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that committee or council members might have. Thank you so much for the time today.